Welcome to Performance Anxiety. I'm your host, Mark, and I want to give a huge thank you to our sponsor, AKG, for sending us their Podcaster Essentials Kit. It is the best, most economical way to start your own podcast with high-quality products. Now, this is a Performance Anxiety podcast first. We welcome Livio Ercoli of the punk band Round Eye. Round Eye is based in Shanghai, China, but the band is not Chinese. It's full of expats. Livio talks about how he got to China from Italy in the first place and how he started playing music there. He talks about how things are changing there and not for the better. He also tells a story about having a meeting with the Minister of Culture about shutting down Round Eye's tour while reviewing screenshots of the band members' phones and threatening to deport everyone, but doing the tour anyway in the most underground punk move ever. The new album is a wild one and was produced by Mike Watt from Pedro. This is a great episode, and I know I learned a lot. Follow Round Eye on Facebook and Instagram. Pick up the new album Culture Shock Treatment on Paper and Plastic Records. Follow us at Performance ANX on all the socials. Coffee is happily accepted at ko-fi.com/performanceanxiety. Cool stuff like shirts, mugs, onesies, shower curtains are all available at performanceanx.threadless.com. Now let's take a trip to Shanghai with Livio Ercoli and Round Eye on Performance Anxiety on the Pantheon Podcast Network.
So, hey, what's up? It's Livio from Round Eye. You're listening to Performance Anxiety podcast. I play bass. Band Round Eye, based in Shanghai, China. Our new album's Culture Shock Treatment will be out very soon. It's being printed right now. And you can find us on the major platforms like Spotify, iTunes, and you will soon be able to find our record in the stores. Did I miss something? Okay.
Oh man, hey, I appreciate this. This is I think this is a first for me, as I'm sure it is for many people who speak with you guys. So I will try. I'm going to have to ask you questions you've been asked about 1 million times already.
It's all right. So I'll know how to answer.
Exactly. Right. But I'll try to get a few in there that maybe you haven't heard so many times. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Okay. Looking at the video here, it looks like you've got the album artwork behind you hanging up. Is that right?
Oh, yes.
Oh, that's awesome.
You are correct. This is the original artwork, actually.
Wow.
I am the owner of the original artwork. It's in my living room.
That is awesome. Was that created specifically for the album?
Yeah.
Nice.
This is a friend of mine from my hometown, actually.
Oh wow.
Who lives in Beijing, and I actually haven't seen him since he moved. He moved before me. He moved probably around 10 years ago. I moved 7.5, almost 8 years ago.
Oh, okay.
But we never really got to see each other. But I know that he's there, and we are somehow in touch, messaging and so on. So we were looking for the cover, the artwork for the cover, and said, like, look, guys, I have this friend of mine, and he's a great artist. I think he has done only a couple of covers for albums in the past, but
okay.
That's not really what he does. He just has exposes his art in galleries and so on.
Oh, okay.
He's extremely talented. It's called Filippo Cartella. And I asked him and said, look, we got this tiny budget. Do what you want for that budget. I explained a little bit the concept of the album, the idea behind what behind the music, and also our idea for the cover art, meaning not really, we didn't tell him what to do, but
right.
The sort of to describe a bit the album, and that's what he came up with, which is pretty fit. I would say matches quite well the whole album.
Yeah, it definitely goes with the theme of the album. It's fantastic, and you guys are artists yourself. You just give them the concept and let them do their thing.
Yes, exactly. There was, and we were from the first draft that he sent us. We were like, yes, that's great. You nailed it, 100%. So yeah, very happy about it. And then I bought the art. He shipped it to me from Beijing, and they're like, I need to have that right now.
That is awesome. But now you're obviously not Chinese. So,
no, we're not.
but you're from Italy originally, right?
I am.
And how did you get started playing? Was bass your original first instrument, the one that you started with, or was there another route into music?
No, I started playing a bit guitar with my brother. My brother, older brother than me, he tried to teach me guitar, and of course it didn't work, but because he was teaching me. No, but then he's been needed a bass player and said, "Look, maybe with 2 strings less, I can do it." And I started.
Sounds like a brother thing to 14. Say.
Yeah, and that's what I did. And so basically, yeah, I would say bass is the first instrument that I've played. And I haven't changed since.
No, but you're also an architect.
I am. Yes, I'm mostly an architect.
Right.
I'd say my profession that pays the bills is architecture. Yes.
Okay.
That's why I moved to China.
Oh, okay. So now back in Italy, were you playing in bands a lot, or were you focused mainly on architecture?
Well, I did both. I was studying. I graduated in Pisa, my hometown. And when I was there, since I started playing, I've been playing in many bands, many genres and so on. So I've always been playing music.
Oh, okay.
The last big band that I was in back home was an Afrobeat band.
Oh, wow.
Well, yeah, it was completely different genre.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a lot of fun. It's always been fun, and we always been playing out, shows and so on. So
okay.
And my first year in China, actually, I was not playing because I didn't know anybody who was in bands, and my circle of friends at the time were not really into live music. It was more like a clubs sort of thing that I never really enjoyed. But then when I started, I met people around. Then I started playing in a band. It just completely changed for me. I don't hang out with those people anymore.
You said you came to China like 7 years or so ago, approximately?
Almost 8 years ago. This was November 2013.
How does you? Okay, so you've obviously been there a while now. How does your employer approach that? Do they say, "Hey, we want to send you to China for 6, 7, 10 years," or is it something you ask them? How did that happen?
It's not like that. I applied from actually at the time I was in London. I moved to London for work, and then I did an internship there. I couldn't really find another job, so I said, screw this. I got nothing to lose. Let's go to China. And I did an interview, Skype interview, and a month later I was here. So it was very quick. Yeah, that really I didn't know anything about China, anything about Shanghai at all. I was like, I really need to start something, something.
So you're working for a Chinese company. You're not working for an Italian company that sent you to China or anything like that.
Exactly. I don't work for a company back home that sent me here.
Okay.
I started in a Chinese company, but then shortly after I moved to the current company where I'm working at is a German company.
Ah, okay. And you are now in a punk band that's full of people who are not from China. It's all expats, and
correct.
Funnily enough, I love the band name Round Eye. That killed me. As soon as I saw that, I'm like, I gotta talk to these guys. This is just such a great story. How did you?
Yeah, it's true.
So you said that the first year or so that you weren't really into the music, and you weren't playing music. How did you start playing music in China? That sounds very daunting.
Actually, through a colleague of mine at the time, she used to sing in a band, and I'd actually never seen her singing at the time. But she was friends with my bandmates now. Okay. And she told me, well, look, because I told her I was playing bass, and she told me, these guys are looking for a bass player. Why don't you go talk to them? So I got Chachi's contact. Chachi's the lead singer and of the band, and guitar player. Yeah. And then, then that's how it started. The band actually started 2 years earlier. So the band is slightly more than 9 years old. Wow. And this was Chachi, and Jimmy Jack is the drummer, with other couple of guys that are not in China anymore. They started the band 9 years ago, and I am actually the third bass player of the band.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the band, it's punk, but you guys also have a sax player.
Correct. Yes, that was from the beginning the idea. The band started with a saxophone.
I had to find that out because that's very unique.
Well, you know, the Stooges, they used to have.
Okay. See, I'm not
their most famous albums, right?
I am not really well versed in punk, as you will find out throughout this conversation.
No, but it's honestly, it's more like the saxophone. You know, it's an instrument that. It's been around for a while, also in rock and roll.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's true though that it's not so popular in more popular bands. Not necessarily in punk. I mean, there's this. When you think about saxophone, you think, you know, whatever. What it is? What is it?
They're like 50s.
Wham. You know. Oh yeah. Or 80s. Also, there was like
Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah. Correct.
Things like that.
Which is not exactly the way we approached this thing.
That's for sure.
No, we want. I mean, I didn't start a band, but the idea behind having a saxophone has always been, let's try to, as I said, approach this instrument in a different way. Let's just try to blend this into a completely different kind of music that usually, as you said, don't really fit with the saxophone. So it slowly became really part of our sound. It actually not slowly, immediately became part of the sound. And especially this new album, this is a Culture Shock Treatment, is the first album where Mac recorded songs with us. Okay. Mac is now he's in Taiwan. He's not in Shanghai anymore, unfortunately. And his way of playing is also very different from the past saxophone players.
Okay.
And in a way, I believe these albums, especially, there are some songs where the saxophone is definitely important, so important that we cannot really play those songs without the saxophone.
Right.
When the sax player is not around, there are certain songs that we cannot play live because the song is the saxophone riff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly. So, the saxophone is front and center. It's the main focus of the song.
Yes.
And is the songwriting in the past and on the new album, is it collaborative, or is Chachi coming in with stuff done, or is there somebody else who's the main songwriter, or is it collaborative?
It's always collaborative. Of course, the thing is, Chachi he's the one who's going to put vocals on songs. So it kind of, I think he has a way of looking at a song and saying, like, I cannot sing on this part, like, we have to change it. So I would say often he has the last word on what's happening in the arrangements of the songs, and that helps him in his when he has to start writing the vocals.
Right.
So in general, yeah, it's very collaborative and changes a lot. So songs can be can start in a way and end in a completely different way. Sometimes we put together parts of different ideas, and it's always very collaborative. It's never okay. This is it. This is the song. You guys, that's it. What you have to do. And there's not such a thing.
So so nobody's coming in with a complete song saying this is it. Everybody gets to add their piece to it and make it round eye.
Yes, correct.
A few months ago, I had a comedian on who performed in China. And he's American, lives in California, but he got a chance to go over and judge a competition, a comedy competition for expats. And he told me that you can do anything you want, no problem. You can talk about anything except for the 3 T's, which Taiwan, Tibet, and Tiananmen Square. Are there similar restrictions with playing music over there?
So,
or is
yes.
Is it as open with music, maybe is a better question?
Those topics are really controversial here, not just for comedy, but you can imagine also being a teacher in China. You definitely get that memo from day one.
Yeah.
You cannot say certain things.
Right.
And for music, I would say, of course, for official events, let's say festivals or whatever, whenever you are required to submit your lyrics, of course, those lyrics have to be clean, meaning you cannot say certain things.
Okay.
Either they are clean from the beginning or you clean them up. Like you just remove parts that you don't want them to see.
Oh, wow.
It's not so nobody's really checking, you know.
Okay.
It's so much that we do that. We can submit these lyrics and they're changed and talk about candies and fairies.
Yeah.
But then on stage, we still perform and do the whole thing as nothing changed. So,
okay.
In a way, I don't know. I guess it's also, if you're a comedian, going back to that topic, what your art form are your words only.
Right.
In music, there's a lot more to it. So the words are just part of it. So I would say it's not so controlled. Nobody's gonna come up after the show and saying, "Oh, what did you say about that thing or Taiwan or Tiananmen Square?"
Right.
Never. That will never happen.
Okay. Especially if you're playing really loud and they can't understand what you're saying.
Correct. True.
So you guys, what is touring like over there? Are you guys playing locally, or do you get to tour different areas of China?
We do both. Of course, we play in Shanghai quite often, but we have just finished a short tour of 6 dates around China, outside of Shanghai.
Oh,
this
cool.
was during May holidays. We had a few days of holidays for in early May. So we went to Jiaxing, Wuhan, Chengdu, Chongqing, Kunming, and then we did the last show in Shanghai. And when you tour in China, is good and bad.
Okay.
for an aspect. It's definitely good for the fact that we don't have to carry with us all the equipment, but just only on our instruments, and then we just do by train, bullet trains that are super fast.
Oh,
so you can. So those cities that I mentioned earlier are far away from each other, like very far.
Yeah.
We are talking about 6 or 7 hours train that goes 300 kilometers per hour. So it's like very, very far.
Yeah.
So the good thing is that you can do it and you are just sitting on a train. You don't have to drive.
Right.
And you don't have to carry your drum set in your back seat. But at the same time, it's exhausting. I have to say we were exhausted after these 6 dates. We were really tired because you don't sleep much and you have to wake up in the morning because you have to get the train. You sleep 3 hours a night and it's just you stay on the train and sleep. It's just not very comfortable.
Oh yeah, sleeping on a train is not like sleeping in a bed.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we can still do it. We still do it, and we like doing it. It's a very different way of touring, that's for sure.
Is there a problem finding gigs being expats in China, or are clubs or events willing to have you just because I guess over there it's kind of an oddity, a bunch of white guys, playing punk music.
So it's changing, and it's changing in worse, I have to say.
Okay.
A few years ago, we could really do whatever we wanted, find shows wherever, nobody cared. And there was, you are foreigner, you are Chinese band, mixed band, doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. You are on the bill, that's easy, boom. And you get your money with whatever agreement you have with the bar or the band. Now it's very different. Now, as foreigners, you are technically actually not allowed to play, because you need a special permit, a sort of a special performance visa. That's what it's called.
Oh, wow.
And you basically have to pay to play. This performance visa, is you have to pay for it, and you have to submit a bunch of documents. You have to submit the lyrics or the videos of the songs that you have. It's a very long and annoying process.
Wow.
That you have to do every time, and you have to send it to the venue, and the venue will have to submit this. So it's very, very official.
Yeah.
This is when the venue has to promote the show, and they will say this band blah 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 is happening, coming to this venue. Mm-hmm. And there is a door, there's an entrance fee
cover. Yeah.
If that's the case, you have to do all these kind of things.
Wow.
If it's a bit more underground, maybe you don't really have to, but it's definitely more risky also for the venue.
Okay.
We have had friends who have been not arrested, but they got the police coming to the venue, so they had to pay a fine. The venue pays a fine, and we are talking about a lot of money. I wouldn't really know exactly how much. I would say around like 2,000 or 3,000 euros for the whole band. Yeah, it's like that was a lot of money.
Yeah. Now, you guys actually got in trouble during a tour, right? Yes. You ended up having tea with a minister of something or that?
Yes, we did.
What happened there? We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.
Okay, so that time, a bunch of things happened, unfortunately, at the same time. This is 2015, January.
Okay.
And for New Year's Eve that year, so 14 to 15, there was like a big stampede happened in Shanghai.
Okay.
36 people died because this started running, and it was a super crowded area, so a lot of people died. And because of that, our tour was scheduled, well, of course, way before that, and was scheduled for January 15th or something, so a few weeks afterward.
Okay.
But as soon as that happened, they tried to immediately crack down on big events gathering people. For instance, since that horrible thing, basically people are not allowed to stay in that area where that event happened anymore. They immediately changed everything.
Wow.
You can before this event, you could have firecrackers for New Year's Eve. Now it's all gone. You don't have that, and you can imagine how important that was for Chinese culture.
Yeah, yeah.
Shanghai, you cannot have fireworks anymore.
Wow.
It's crazy. But anyways, I'm out of topic.
That's okay. That's okay.
So that year, also one of the major, how can I say, like maybe either the mayor or someone in the Ministry of Culture just got promoted or whatever. So this guy somehow got to see that we were playing and that we were on tour with this band, The Boys from the UK.
Okay.
And they did not like the poster of that tour.
Wow.
I will explain why.
Okay.
And then they basically contacted every single venue all over China, not just Shanghai. They contacted all the venues for the tour, and they told them that we could not play.
Wow.
So every venue got back to us saying, hey guys, I'm sorry, but they just called us. The cops, the police called us. We cannot have the show. So every single one. And the Chachi and our guitar player at the time, Gil, they both got called into the Ministry of Culture for a tea. That's real. That's what they say. We'll just have a tea. And they had a tea. It sounds very nice, but actually it wasn't. I mean, no, I would say they were not mistreated or anything.
Right.
It was scary though for them. So they got there, and the guy in front of them, it was like a typical good cop bad cop scenario. So the guy in front of them was nice, and he was basically looking at an album of photos while talking to them, and all these photos were basically screenshots of photos of these two guys' phones. So Chachi and the other guitar player, they got controlled and they got called in, and this guy was just looking at all all their photos and everything.
Oh my God.
While saying, guys, as you know, you cannot have this tour, and if you do, you will get deported.
Right.
That was the bottom. However, we did the tour anyway.
True punks.
But without, of course, the official channels, and we did only 2 or 3 shows. This was by word of mouth, and no phones allowed, and there was like in basements and so on.
Right.
So we risked, and well, it worked out, but it was kind of scary, a scary time.
So what caused the problem?
Okay, I don't really know who, because of course you can imagine, like our tour was not moving a lot of people.
Right.
There's not moving any money or anything. It's
right.
a bunch of guys that are playing rock and roll.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what it is, really. It's not Bon Jovi, right?
That's not rock and roll either.
Exactly. So I don't know how they got to know about us. As I said, the poster, definitely that was one of we were very naive at the time. Let's put it that way. The poster was a beautiful artwork, again, by a Chinese guy who is in Chengdu, I believe. His art is very controversial. He's very critical politically. And this poster was basically in the foreground, there was this girl wearing a uniform of some political group for young kids, who could be the Scouts, whatever, but it's politically related to the Communist Party. Okay. And this girl had her legs open, and from her vagina there was like a squirt of blood, and in the blood there was like the boys in Round Eye for the first time in China, blah blah blah, with all the dates. Wow. So I mean, it's described like this is horrible, but it's really. I will send you. I still have it. Okay. Anyways, they did not like that, as you can imagine. I can imagine, yeah. But the band loved it. Also, the boys were great. Like, oh my God, this is awesome. And at the time, we were naive. Now we learned, and we are not going to do that again. Right.
But the new album, it's very critical of communism and the Chinese government. So you guys still are taking a risk. You said you had to submit lyrics and all. So how does that all work? I mean, are you guys running a huge risk by producing this album and playing these songs?
Okay, so as I said, technically, let's put it that way. Technically, yes. Meaning, if somebody wanted, they could say, you guys cannot say these things, blah, 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 and we could get in trouble, technically. Right. But the reality is that this is never going to happen, because nobody's really going to, first of all, listen to our music. And even if they do, you can't really tell what's happening in the lyrics. And even if you read the lyrics, there's just so many things that they have to go. It would have to become a sort of a, let's get these guys out of China, because for whatever reason.
You'd have to become like somebody's point of focus. Yeah. Somebody would have to really, really want
Correct.
It. Okay.
Exactly. Public enemy number one. Yeah. That would be ridiculous. Us, come on. Yeah. So as I said, technically yes, but the reality is that nobody really cares what we say. Okay. About what we say.
The new album, I like it a lot. And like I said, I don't know a whole lot about punk. Punk is not my main focus, but the songs are really cool. And you guys, Red Crimes. Let me see. There's you sing a song on there. Is that right?
Yeah.
And I'm not even. I don't know Italian, so.
Uomo moderno.
Yes.
Modern man.
I like that a lot. That's really good.
L'uomo moderno è stanco, si alza presto la mattina e va al lavoro ogni giorno per comprarsi una macchina nuova con cui andare al lavoro. 7 giorni di ferie ad agosto e 7 giorni di ferie a Natale scandiscono inesorabili il ritmo della sua vita magra. Ma non ci sono problemi. Ampio parcheggio all'ombra, tubo in posizione, finestrini sigillati e via col gas.
Yeah, that was interesting. There was a jam that we recorded months before, and then we decided just to put it together kind of last minute almost.
Okay. So you guys do a really wild cover of Endless Sleep. The old 50s, 60s song. Jody, who the heck did that originally? Jody something, I can't remember. But
I also can't remember. that was Chachi's idea, and it was really cool to completely change that song and made it so dark.
It is. I mean,
too much darker than what it is already.
Yeah, exactly. It's a pretty gruesome song, especially from what I was reading, the original lyrics. Because in the end, in the original version, he saves his girlfriend who's being drowned or something, but the original lyrics apparently that he didn't save her. They made him change it at the end so it wouldn't be so dark. Well, Jody Reynolds, I just looked it up. Jody Reynolds.
Okay, yes.
But man, you guys slowed it down and made it creepy. I love it.
Yeah, and it was a good song this is the last song of the album, and it was a good way of ending such a frantic album, because most songs are actually very much the opposite.
Yes.
Very fast and loud, but that was okay. Let's try to do like a proper ending of this album. So that was a good idea.
I thought.
And we also have another cover in there is "Circumstances" by Captain Beefheart.
Oh yes, yeah, Captain Beefheart. Yeah, I don't see too many people covering Captain Beefheart. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's another thing. It's almost nobody covers, because of course it's such a unique way of writing music, right?
Yeah.
And if you do whenever we heard bands covering Beefheart, I don't know, it's always it's a sort of almost try to imitate, and you never get it, because they're incredible musicians, and it's so amazing.
Yeah, you can't out Beefheart.
Exactly. We didn't want to imitate the song. We just wanted to make it our own, and that's always our approach in covers in general. Also endless sleep, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's I love that song. Also, the original song is amazing, and we added parts and we took off parts, but I would say the soul of the song is still kind of there. Yeah. Oh, for sure. And how did Mike Watt get involved in producing this? Because he doesn't produce a whole lot of things. Yes, that was again another great experience for all of us that I'll never forget. So we toured with Mike in China in 2017. Okay. With him and Missing Man. He came over because before him, we also toured with Steve McKay from the Stooges into China, and they were playing with the Stooges when they reunited a few years ago. So Mike knew Steve, and so he contacted us and said, "Hey, I want to come to China. Let's do this together." Oh, that's awesome. So we did the whole tour. It was amazing. And Mike is a sweet guy, very, very, I would say, he knows everything about music. And he actually asked us, if you guys want, I could help you with the recording in San Pedro. And we were like, of course, yes, we would. To do it. And a few years after, what is this? This is 2019. So 2 years after, we went to San Pedro. We were very prepared because we didn't want to anger him. Right. No, but we really went in prepared because, we have so much respect for him and his music and his legacy. He's a legend. Oh, yeah. So we recorded everything in 3 days at his studio. And he was very supportive, and he liked the songs. He only had few suggestions and changing few things in few songs. Okay. But in general, he kept the soul of the whole thing as it was. And actually, he managed to really push us. He pushed us even further. It really, during the recording, I think that's what really changed a bit. Because we did a live recording. It's not separate tracks, right? Oh, okay. So we are all in the same room. Wow. He presses play, he pushes play, he pushes record, sorry, and then we all, that's what you hear. Wow. There's only very few, how would you say, overdubs, like it's things that have been added later, only few of them. That's awesome, man. Hey. He managed to push us and say, guys, you gotta, if you record it live, you have to do it. You really have to play with your big balls out.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You got to do it. Like he said, he's all about doing things econo. So that's
Exactly.
That's the way you got to do it.
You got to feel the danger.
Yeah. I had no idea that it was all recorded live. That makes it even more impressive.
Yeah.
I gotta look at my notes here. I kind of got lost hearing your story about Mike Watt. I kind of got lost at where I was in my notes. But you guys come back to the States and to Italy a couple times a year. Did you get culture shock coming back to the U.S. and into Italy? Because you've been there a long time now.
Yeah. Oh, I haven't been back in 3 years now.
Wow.
So
Jeez.
it won't be as culture shock when I go back now. Hopefully this year. I would say, yeah, a bit, but I don't know. It's actually quite refreshing going back home. Yeah. I never feel weird, like,
Okay.
Things like, I didn't remember we were doing this thing. No, I definitely do remember, and that's still part of me. And I don't know, not really. I wouldn't say that we have a counter. Maybe the only thing that it will definitely is completely different is the way we use money in China. We only use our phone. We only do any transaction is all on our phones. Wow. I don't touch cash since probably 2020.
Wow.
Like early 2000. So it's more than a year that I don't even have cash with me, and as everyone else. So right. Basically you have one application on your phone that through which everything happens. You pay the bills, you buy your train tickets, you book a cab, and you pay for anything.
Wow.
And it's also a sort of a Facebook kind of thing. So you have these moments, you have a sort of feed of posts of your friends or whatever. So it's everything in one application.
Oh,
so
that's wild.
That's very different. And when we are touring, it's the opposite, right? So you have a bunch of, if you're in Europe, you have a bunch of currencies. You have to put some. Yeah. There's a lot of that's definitely going to be interesting to see when I go back. So that will be hard to get used to cash.
Yeah, I don't have any cash because I'm poor. That's the only reason I don't have any cash. So I was listening to the album yesterday at work, and "You're So Fucking Cool" is such a cool song. I love the Three Cool Cats reference in that when that comes in. That is so fun. You guys do pull a lot of stuff from 50s and 60s music.
This is all Chachi.
Yeah.
Chachi is, I'm serious. Like, I don't know much about that era. So he loves that. He loves that music. And every time he can, he just tries to bring it into also in our sound. And it's definitely there for sure. But it's not coming from all of us, I have to say.
So
100% him.
So when you're writing collaboratively, that's his part. He's bringing the 50s.
Yeah, it's like, I got this, and it sounds like, it sounds like a 50s thing. Yeah, but maybe we can, and then we can try to change it a little bit. But, we all bring our part to the song. And
you guys ended up recording a video in North Korea.
Yes.
How did that
I wasn't there, but the guys that were there it was Chachi and Jimmy, drummer and singer. It just happened. It wasn't really all. The whole thing wasn't really planned from the beginning. They wanted to go to North Korea, and they went just visiting the whole thing.
Okay.
So of course, as you know, you only can go with a very strictly organized tours and so on. So you're followed around. It's all very strict.
Right.
And there was only one place where they asked if they could record, like with a camera,
right,
with a GoPro, whatever it was. And that was this amusement park that you can see in the video.
Yeah.
That was the only place where everyone's like, yeah, you can record here. So they asked beforehand, before doing that. And then when they were there, it was like, let's just try. And that's what they did. And then our friend Alessio, who is the director for many other videos of Round Eye, he edited everything and he put it together. And that's the video. But basically it was like they were tourists. They were just on vacation. And they said, let's just just make a video in North Korea.
Spontaneous North Korean videos.
Yeah.
That's pretty punk, I gotta say.
Yeah, right. I think we checked it out. I think we are the first punk band doing that. There's before us. I think there's a rap or hip hop duos from America, from somewhere.
Okay.
They did something like, but it's not punk. And this is probably 3 or 4 years before us.
Oh, and they probably went over with Dennis Rodman or something.
I don't know. I have no idea. But it's curious, and in a way, it's interesting. Yeah.
It is. It's very. I mean, that's it's not a destination for music videos. Not what I normally think of. Is it tough to get gear over there, like good, high quality musical gear?
No. I have to say, actually, every venue, not every, but most venues have a very, very good backline equipment. Yeah. It's really top quality.
Okay.
Yeah. No. So I would say no. But of course, it's a little more expensive compared to the States.
Okay. And getting amps and basses and strings, there's no problem with that.
Oh yeah.
Even with the tightening with Xi Jinping.
No.
Okay.
I would say no. There's not a problem. You can find whatever you want. Yeah. Absolutely.
What about recording? I know you recorded in San Pedro, but I mean, do you guys record in China very often, or
yes.
How do you get? I mean, is it the same as anywhere else trying to get studio time, or is there a difference?
No, it's we have recorded many times here in China.
Okay.
The albums, both albums before this one, were recorded here in Shanghai at a studio. A friend of ours, he owns the studio, and we're very good friends with him, Yu. And no, it's pretty much the same. It's pretty much the same. They have all the equipment, they have everything, and the process is whatever you want it to be. As I said, we prefer to record live because I think we think it captures better the essence of the band. But you can do separate tracks. I mean, there's so many artists in China, Chinese artists and Chinese bands that super popular, and they definitely have the skills, the expertise.
Because I'm always curious. I always hear that China isn't really super open to foreigners and expats doing things that aren't touristy. So I'm just kind of always curious to find out if that's actually the case, or if they're pretty accepting of you guys and music and what you want to do.
Yeah, I mean, again, of course, politics is one thing, and the daily life, the regular people that you meet in the streets is a completely different thing. I would say, of course, Chinese are very, very welcoming also with foreigners. Maybe not all of them, but there's never been really, at least not personally, an instance where I felt, I don't know, threatened or not well. Not at all. Never happened.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
It could happen that, sometimes, because at the end of the day, any Chinese person that listens to the TV news or whatever, you get this kind of nationalism, just shoved in your throat.
Right.
So, and you get it, and that's in you basically. So sometimes you can feel it a little bit, this sort of, underlaying pride and nationalism that sometimes they can do some comments, they can make some comments or whatever. If you have a bunch of group of people that might be drunk or whatever, they can say something. But that's what it is. It's never really dangerous or anything like that. No.
And that can happen anywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
So I know I've kept you for quite a while, and it's getting kind of late over there. Where can people find the album? How can they get the album from you guys?
I don't know. No, okay. The album is on every major platform, so Spotify, iTunes, and all that.
Right.
But the physical copies, I don't. I mean, they will be distributed in America for sure. So I don't know where exactly, but definitely there will be a distribution in America.
Okay.
So our label is Sudden Death, and I'm pretty sure Canada and America they will be covered. I don't know again where exactly. Or
So people could just look up Sudden Death, probably through their
I'm
website.
pretty sure, yeah. Yes.
And is there a social media presence that people can follow to keep up with news for the band?
There is a Facebook page. There is an Instagram page that because Instagram and Facebook are both banned in China. So we can upload and update them. But those two are the Western media, social media platforms that we have.
Okay.
Otherwise, there's this Chinese social media also. We have a page. But yeah, Facebook and Instagram. And we have our website that also doesn't really get updated very often. But yeah.
Well, Livio, I appreciate you spending so much time with me and explaining this, because I don't have a whole lot of experience with bands in China.
Yeah.
And I hope I didn't ask you the same questions everybody else asked you.
No. It's good to talk about these things, of course, especially with who is curious about what's happening over here, for sure.
Thank you so much. This has really been awesome.
Thank you.
One of my favorites so far. I appreciate it, man.
Okay, no problem. Thanks. Thank you.